Hello, my name is Stephen Pierce. I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the concept of what's the difference between you, a special operations operator, and the law enforcement officer that's working on the street. And there's a couple of significant things that are different between you and them when it comes to forensic procedure. First of all, law enforcement's been doing this for a very long time. Law enforcement has been developing frameworks and procedures that have enabled them to collect or gather the best evidence possible from a crime scene. These procedures and policies are what SOF and other military communities have based, or largely based, their frameworks from. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is this. Law enforcement works in an environment where time is irrelevant. There is no issue with time. There is no sense of urgency, as urgency or threat doesn't really exist. Well, unless you're in a really, really bad town. But it really doesn't exist in traditional law enforcement gatherings or crime scene collections, I would say, better say. So when we start talking about the difference between what you're going to do and what a law enforcement officer is going to do, two very clear concepts come to play. The first one is time. The second one is threat. With time and threat, we have two things that happen. We have an inverse relationship. As your time decreases, the amount of time that you have on target, the amount of data or the amount of evidence or artifacts that can be collected also reduces. So we have these two layers reducing when our threat increases. So the inverse effect is, as threat increases, time and the amount of evidence you can collect decreases. Civilian law enforcement doesn't have that dynamic, where you do. The other concept that you need to understand is when you go on target, you are not going to collect everything. So when you get out on target, you're going to have things such as collectible artifacts, uncollectible artifacts. You're also going to have time-related artifacts that may have been collectible at one point, but because of time and threat are no longer collectible. When a law enforcement officer goes out onto a scene, they don't have those dynamics. They have unlimited time. They don't have a threat, so therefore there is no inverse effect, and something called exigent circumstance does not exist for them. Where exigent circumstance for you basically starts out when your mission starts. Because exigent circumstance means you're going to have to manipulate or change some things as you're moving through processing this crime scene. Okay? So again, the biggest difference between you and law enforcement, time and threat, which creates urgency. These are the things that are going to affect your collection of artifacts or evidence from a scene. When you have those, again, you have an inverse relationship. As threat increases, your collection decreases. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to go over that concept, because it's a very important concept. It's something that we all deal with routinely when we're talking about creating frameworks for military operations, and it has to be a guiding rule, because it will dictate what is collectible and what is uncollectible at a tactical site, tactical scene, a target, whatever you want to call it. All right, we are going to talk in a future video. We're going to talk about collectible and uncollectible media and how you prepare for those and what our preparation stages are for those. With that, good luck and happy hunting.